Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Old Boys series in the off season. Tonight we have first player ever signed to Central Coast Mariners back in 2004, born and bred coastie, and also man inducted into the Central Coast Football Hall of Fame in 2013, and the man with the medal, the Damien Brown medal from the Man of Football from 2012 onwards. Damien Brown. Welcome, Damien.
Thanks, Joe. How are you?
Good, good. How are you on the school holidays?
Oh, I always love school holidays. Yeah, we're
Don't we all?
up at the sports
Don't
college
we
there,
all?
so we're a couple of weeks off.
Oh, nice. Did you get extra long holidays like some of the
No, no, just the
independent
just the
schools?
normal. No, just the normal.
Cool. Okay, so to start off with, first question. Who would you say influenced you to become a footballer?
Okay. I had a few mentors along the way. Probably my first ever, and no one would have heard of this person. But when I was a young whippersnapper playing for the entrance, and I had an elderly Englishman who, and I don't know, I think he sort of ended up around the entrance area and just wanted to be involved. And his name was Jack Foxton, and he had an association with Manchester United, and just his love of the game. And we're talking, under fives through to probably under eights, and just loved how passionate he was. And I suppose it goes to getting young kids around passionate people from a young age. And so not many people would know this gentleman. And unfortunately, probably oh back when I was about late teens, I'd heard that he'd passed away. And he was up until like he lived in the Bateau Bay area, which was around me. And but he was just so passionate about football, and so he's a like one of my first ever mentors. And then going up, probably a little bit older and going through the Coasties Academy. All your coaches. Alan Burke was one of them who was, very technical back then. It's probably my first real technical coach. He'd been under, all the coaching courses. He'd done them all, and it was the first time probably I'd ever been taught to stop. What are your options, and have a look around, and players can get a bit sick of all that kind of coaching. When you stop, I want to stop, I want to keep playing. But he was great and really taught me other sides and the technical sides to the game. And then as I was going up still through the coasties, I had those like for a couple of years there. There was Vic Bazanic. I had him for a couple of years, and he probably brought in a very passionate side. Probably going not my side to go and kick them and all that kind of stuff. That wasn't really my game, but he brought in that side to a lot of the players that I was around at the time.
Very
Dale
European style.
Is that what it was? Yeah. And and my captain, my first sort of senior captain back then, Dale Eggleton. He really and is still a mate of mine today. Dale Eggleton, Andrew Ollier, Steve Lilly, all these guys that we used to go to training with all the time. Like there were six of us that got picked up in I think Steve Lilly's bongo van, is it like just to go to training. And it was just like we just enjoyed it. We weren't looking to, oh, this can be a career. It was just
Mm.
about being with your mates and having a great time and putting in 100%. And from there, things happened for a couple of us, and maybe I was one of the younger ones of that brigade, so that probably helped me. But I remember Alan Burke actually saying to me at the age of, I think I was 16 or 17, I'd love you to come and play with Parramatta down. I think they were in the old, I think they were in the old NSL maybe back then, or the early
Mm.
days. They were really high up in one of the leagues, and I went, Parramatta. I'm not going to go travel all the way to Parramatta just to go and play. Like that was crazy. I could do that, maybe every second week, playing in the coasties and things like that. But you wouldn't think of actually going, move down there and playing and things like this. That in my mind, and now kids do it every day. That's what they
Oh
do.
gosh, yeah.
Um, so yeah, the likes of those, and then yeah, so a lot of my coaches in the early days, they were probably and enjoying it and having fun. And then it
Mm.
obviously started to step up a notch in terms of seriousness when I got up to the NSL, and I had Cosmina as my first one. That was an interesting
Oh wow.
welcome to National Soccer League. He was the more of the yeah, make sure you play hard and party hard, and don't pack your going out gear before the boots, but make sure you pack your going out gear. So it was a very yeah interesting welcome to National Soccer League, where because he was the old make sure you give it as much as you got, like you make sure you
Yeah.
kick them and stuff like that. But yeah, if you ever, I had one story. I had to shave my legs because I was getting really tight calves, and the physio suggested
Mm.
this. And when Cozzy found that out, he said, "If I see anyone shaving their legs in this change room, I'll belt the absolute crap out of them." That kind of. Uh, so he was that kind of
Yeah.
coach. Um, and he actually said to me back when Mariners were playing Adelaide, I think at the time, and he said to me, "Hi Brownie, I never thought you'd make it. You were too soft, like so." Anyway, so but we had a bit of a chuckle about it, and yeah, it was interesting time. So that was my sort of first welcome. So they're probably some people that have guided me, and I've learnt from positives and
Mm.
negatives.
Mm.
I still coach myself in terms of my daughter, and I have probably thought about those kind of things in terms of how I want to treat upcoming young players. So yeah, I think you learn from everyone, whether that be the way you want to go or not.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, speaking of Parramatta, and you seem to prior to, you know, coming into Central Coast Mariners at conception, you did wander backwards and forwards up and down the freeway. So Newcastle
But I did.
Breakers, back to Central Coast, Canberra Cosmos,
Yes.
um, Blacktown City, Parramatta Power, Newcastle United, and then 2004, Mariners.
Yeah, I went where anyone wanted me, pretty much. I was pretty much a yes man. I was happy to go wherever. But
So
yeah,
were they paid? Any of those paid, or
they were all
it's
paid.
all paid?
Yeah, so that first one going to Newcastle first
Mm-hmm.
up the freeway. I remember actually traveling up the freeway every day with Glenn Sprod.
Oh yeah.
We used to Sprod and I used to go up there together, and that was with Cozzy. And I was actually it's a funny one, that one. I was actually owned by the Central Coast Coasties, so they put back then. What's that? That's probably going back to. Oh,
94, 95
there you
was
go.
Coasties.
Yeah.
So 95, 96 you're at Breakers.
Yeah, so that 90, yeah, 94, 95 crossover, Newcastle Breakers wanted to sign me, but I was owned by the Central Coast Coasties. So they put $5,000 back then. I suppose that's a bit of money back then on my
A lot of
head
money.
to transfer to the Breakers. Anyway, they said, "Well, we're not paying that. So what about a loan? What can we get you for a loan?" Anyway, so they Central Coast Coasties loaned me out for 10 games for $500. And then and I was going quite well. I had not a bad start to the season. So they said, yeah, we'll get him again. Well, we can't afford the 5,000, but can we get him for another 10 games? Anyway, so another $500. And then it was a 33 game season back then. So they said after the end of the 20, they said, yeah, we're still not sure if we really want to buy him. Can we go for another 10 games? So they were basically just trying to, get me a little bit cheaper.
Mm,
And the coaches had realised what had happened. They said, no, you've got to buy him now. Otherwise, you're getting him for the whole season for $1,500.
yeah.
And so they, in the end, they basically said, no, well, we're not going to pay $5,000 for you now. We're
Mm.
we're coming last or second last in the season, and we'll just get you back next year. When your so-called contract's up, and we'll get you free. And in the end, so that's when Canberra Cosmos came knocking, and so
Mm.
which was an interesting story in itself. It's Raleigh Rassick was the coach, and he wanted me to
Mm.
go down there. And I said, "Oh, that's great. I'd love the opportunity." And am I getting paid, or what's the story? He said, "Oh, we can't. What are your figures?" And I said that, and he goes, "Oh, we can't afford that." And I just said to Mum and Dad, "I look." It's just a great opportunity to be around someone like that. I don't care if they can't pay me what I need to live on. I'll just go get a second
Mm.
job while I'm down there, and went down there, and they ended up giving me the money I was after just to pretty much live on because I had to rent and everything.
Mm.
They just wanted to see if I was dedicated enough to come down on the lot lower money, so it worked in well. Um, and yeah, so and then Raleigh left towards the end of the sorry, that was Branko Cellino, and Branko Cellino left, or I'm not sure if he left or they got rid of him, but
Booted.
yeah, he got booted, and Branko had his favourites, and then Raleigh came in. So it was
Mm.
Branko then Raleigh, and yeah, so it was an interesting little combo because both totally different, but both very experienced. So I had yeah, and Raleigh really liked me. Branko probably not as much. Um, and he actually Branko was good mates with. He brought down one of his good mates to play Ante Moric at the time, who was another really good top
Mm.
left footer, and he was on really big money to be there, and so I was pretty much on the bench behind him each game, and then as soon as Branko got booted, Raleigh came in and Raleigh started me straight away. But I was engaged at that time to my now wife, so I was coming back and forward from the freeway, I think every second
Wow.
week, from Canberra. So we decided that I needed something a bit closer after that. So that's when Blacktown came knocking as a semi-pro club, and but once again I was owned by Canberra at that stage, so we had to go through a Zoom like this. It was a even back
Yep.
then it was a three-way. I don't think it was called Zoom, but it was
No.
maybe a three-way teleconference or something like that, and they Blacktown ended up having to buy me off Canberra, even though I think Canberra was not in a great position. I think Canberra just trying to get any money they could for anyone at the time. And I think they Blacktown bought me for $3,000 at the time just to, and we had three successful years at Blacktown. I think we won the grand final 3 years in a row. So that was a good move. But that was having Blacktown as a sort of a part-time job, and I worked. I think I did full-time uni at the time, and I was doing two other part-time jobs because I was pretty much married by then. So I had to bring in the money as well as look after my future.
Yeah.
So I was doing a teaching degree at the same time.
Yeah. So it was 3 years there. He scored 13 goals with Blacktown. So that is that apart from your early Central Coast one in 96, 97, where you scored 8 goals from 20 games.
Yeah.
Blacktown was 13 goals from 75 games.
I was more of a setter-upperer.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But then yeah, Mariners comes along and first one signed. And
Mm.
what was it like when you got that phone call? Was it from Laurie or?
Yeah, yeah. Laurie had been in touch with me for a while because I was at Newcastle, kind of owned, keep on saying owned by Newcastle at the time. They would have been what Newcastle United back then. I think they were,
United, yeah.
yeah, United. So, and I'd had a pretty good year with them, but I just had a knee reconstruction, and Laurie said, "Look, if we get in," he said, "I'm pretty confident if we get in, I want you to be our first signing." And I said, "Look, if you're in, you've got me." I said, "I think nothing better than playing, for the Central Coast. I'm born and bred Central Coast, so this has been a dream. It was a dream of mine, but I still wasn't sure if they were going to get in, especially having, Newcastle and Sydney, and were they going to jam
Mm,
us in the middle there as being another A-League club, especially back then. What was it? Only 8 clubs back then too, wasn't it? So,
yeah,
um,
pretty sure.
so Newcastle had got the ones that they wanted back in a meeting only about a week before I met with Laurie to say, look, you're the ones we want out of um, the I suppose the ones that were left before,
Yep.
like from Newcastle, and I was in that. And I just sort of had to play, yeah, yeah, no worries, sounds good. I'm ready to go, but had to because I didn't know if Mariners were in yet. And then
Mm.
Mariners got in, and Laurie rang me straight away, and he said, "Meet me up at Blood Tree Oval." I'm not sure what he was
Oh,
doing
good old
there,
blood
but I
tree.
I drove him. I drove straight up to Blood Tree Oval, and we agreed to terms. And I think a week later, I was signing. That must have been about probably around about October, November in
Mm.
2004, and I signed at Mingara. I think we had a bit of a publicity day of being the first signing, and signed at Mingara there, which was a bit of our base there for a while. So yeah, no, it was great, and Laurie's looked after me for a long time, and we're still mates now, and I still catch up with him the odd time I go over to Terrigal for a coffee. He's always there.
Of
I,
course.
I don't go to Latte World too often, but he's the king of that place. Um,
Haven't joined him for a dawn swim.
no, no, no. I've always been land based more than more water based. But I know he does his swim, and then a group of them have their coffee there,
Mm.
and so that's usually where I bump into him. Where he's over there having his coffee after his swim. So yeah, that was
Absolutely.
that was yeah, that was one of the biggest moments in my life to be able to
Mm.
sign for a national club on the Central Coast. I didn't, I just kept on thinking the whole time, how good is this for not just for me, but for my family, mum and dad, my
Mm.
wife. I think I had one child with one just born at that stage.
Mm.
Um, and so, yeah, so just had the two, and I just thought, how good is this? If I can just, hang around here and play here for the rest of my career, that would be great. So, and it all worked
Absolutely.
out. That first year was massive.
All right. Can you remember who you scored your first A-League goal against, which, by all things I've read, was your only A-League goal?
Yeah, yeah, it was an interesting one because it was on New Year's Eve. And I was actually, because I took a lot of the free kicks, the wide free kicks or the corners were my part of my role, and it was and Hef ran past me and said hit me near post. Anyway, so it went near post, and I think Liam Reddy might have actually been in goals, and it went near post, and I think we had a good win that night. I think it might have been 4-1 or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
Hef keeps on to this day saying he nicked his hair because he did have a spiky hairdo back then.
He did.
And he said it nicked his hair, but they gave me the goal because basically I think Liam Reddy thought that Hef was going to head it, and so he went for the near post header as if he was going to
Mm.
head it, and then it just bounced and then ended up just floating in far post. So my only goal, which is counted as actually a cross. So it actually just bounced in that far corner there. But yeah, Hef to that day, because I think he was a equal leading goal scorer that year, and from left back, and he still blames me for robbing him of that one goal because he would have
Yeah,
been
you would.
outright leader. But yeah, we muck around about that. But Hef's got to give me something, if I'm only having one goal, I got to get one goal.
Absolutely.
But
And
yeah,
especially when it was an F3 derby.
it was an F3 derby, and back then they had the F3 derbies on New Year's Eve. They were huge nights, and New Year's Eve's a great night to play anyway. But
Mm.
having the derby on that night, they were huge. And
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not sure what the crowd figure was back then, but they were just massive because you're combining the two big, the two big events. And yeah, it was a great night. I was playing that night against my good mate Steve Eagleton. He would have, I think, I think he might have set up actually. We were leading 4-0 at the time, and I think they got one towards the end. And I think he got
Mm.
past me, so I think he's actually rubbed that in my face a bit. But I did have we did get the 4-1 win, so I'll take that over him. But yeah, a good mate of mine, we played at Newcastle together, for a year or two back then. So yeah, it was a good night, that one, and a great family night too.
So would you say that was your favorite moment as a Mariner, or was there something
Oh,
else?
favorite moment as a Mariner. There's so many there. I don't know if I can narrow it just to that one, but obviously, the grand final in the first year was huge. Just that whole week,
Mm.
just having my two boys at the time there. Emily wasn't born then, but having them little, with their little Browns going to the grand final. Did so many promotions at different schools that week. Certainly more promotions than training sessions. It was just a great week. So that lives, running out to, well, what was it, 40,000,
Yeah.
that grand final. I know we didn't win, but we certainly gave it to them in that first half. We probably got a bit tired in the second half. We had a few
Mm.
good chances in that first half, but I thought we could have, we did enough to probably, get a 1-0 lead, and then they got us 1-0. But that whole week coming back to the Central Coast Leagues Club that night. We were down, but all the supporters got us back up again. That week was huge. So favourite moment, probably that grand final. It's the only grand final I've ever lost, and it's probably one of my favourite moments. So I think I've played in six senior grand finals, and that's the only one I've lost. But it was, yeah, just remembering every tackle, every run I made, even their goal. Like I just had the vision of what was happening, and I was trying to get
Mm,
back and seeing it like, and just sort of know I could sort of still replay it in my mind, and it hurts, but it's a
yeah.
it's a still a favorite moment that we were there
All right. So the goal against Newcastle was probably your favourite moment at the stadium, though.
at the stadium. Yeah, at the stadium. Yeah, I've got some great moments at that stadium when we trained the day before at the stadium. Before a game. So even just those days training at the stadium the day before a game, they were great. Pretty much in and out 1 hour sessions, but intense set plays as well, things like that. Just Gumps and I were pretty much room buddies for 3 years there, and we had a little thing that we would try. We would do on the day before a game where we just knock a ball for 10 minutes after the game where you're on the halfway line and you had to knock it with your laces along the, like, say 30, 40 meters, and it couldn't leave the line, and
Oh
we
my
would just do
gosh.
that as long as as much as we could, just practice, 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 and just little things like that you remember. And obviously Gumps is a good mate of mine, and it was so opposite. We roomed together for 3 years, and that was interesting because I'm the kind of one who wanted to relax and watch TV and try chill out or have a sleep before a game, and he's the one who would say, my nickname was Bomber. Bomber, what do you think about this idea? He's on the computer and tapping away and coming up with the latest invention to something. His mind was just going 100 miles an hour and still does. Um,
So what you could put him down as your best roomie and your worst roomie at the best at the
yeah,
same
best to
time.
know, but pretty much my only roomie. I think we just roomed together. They put us together all the time. So he was second signed at the Mariners, and so
Mm.
me being the coastie I am and love fishing, I took him fishing just to try and find out who this guy was and introduce him to Bateau Bay, and the kind of guy Andre is. He doesn't do anything half-hearted. He went out and
Mm.
bought $500 worth of fishing gear and tackle, just for that one, thinking that he's going to do fishing, for the rest of the year, maybe. I don't know what he was thinking, but he bought like a lot better than my gear. I took him to Bateau Bay Rocks. Didn't realize that the tide was going to be so high. Anyway, he's walking
Oh
waist deep
no.
into water before we got to our fishing spot. But he loved it, and I think we caught some fish, but just to see what he actually bought. He never used that fishing gear ever again. Like about a year later, he actually just gave it to me, or he gave it away to people. Like he just at one
Mm.
fishing trip, he just went to, I think, Freddie's Fishing World, and and just bought everything that he needed. That's it. That's the kind of guy he is,
Crazy.
and he'd still do the same now. If he
Oh,
gets a sore back, he'd
absolutely.
buy a sauna. Like he's that kind of guy. He's 100%. He's 100%. He gives you everything, and that's what kind of guy he is.
He's just flat out. He really
He
is.
is. He's flat out. His mind's always going with so many different ideas and how to be better and the best. Like it's not a
Mm.
yeah, it's a positive. Like he wants to do the best and he wants to put
Yeah.
in the best effort.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot from him too because I was more of the Central Coast syndrome, a bit laid back and well, let's have a little bit of a sleep now. But his mind is just going, going, going. So
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I tried to keep up as best as I could. But yeah, even on the field, like he was such a um, amazing player that playing with the likes of him, Pondoyak, these kind of
Mm.
guys, these midfielders, their brain is just going all the time, and it just they can see things that other guys don't see, and to play with them and to train with them every day just makes your game
Mm.
better. So that's what you need to be around people like that.
Okay, who would you say was your worst opponent, player or team or both?
Well, I never liked playing Adelaide away, but then we end up getting them on that
Mm.
semi-final in the first year. But I always found that a hard place to go. The field was immaculate. it was just like one of the best fields you can play on. But I think maybe having Cozzy there, that always threw me. Um,
Mm.
they had some, I think it was Andrew Marth at the time, maybe. Might have been him. He got me a beauty, and he was like in the Kevin Muscat sort of realm
Yeah.
of like he would hit you just for the sake of it. So I remember, guys like that, and Adelaide was they had some really big, strong defenders, and they would just smash you. I remember having, I think Marth got me in the throat at one time just with a stray elbow, and it's in, but and it never thought a throat could hurt that much, but it was in the, just in between, like in the cartilage. And for I
Yeah.
reckon for about a month, I just had, yeah, his elbow just kept on ringing through my brain of how much that was hurting. But yeah, people
Mm.
like that. So Adelaide, I found a tough place to go. I didn't mind going to Melbourne. I think we had have a Melbourne victory, even though they had the hot lineup, um, Archie and so forth. Like
Mm.
I felt we did okay down there, and we.
Did you have any game day superstitions?
Yes, definitely. I was very superstitious. Yeah, I for a while there, I loved red underpants. I had to wear the red underpants. So a lady, it actually started a lady, a fanatical supporter down at Blacktown actually, and I think I must have been going through a bad patch or something. She said, "Oh, maybe try these. I've made these for you." Or I can't remember how it all started, but anyway, I put them on and scored a few goals. And as I said, we won three grand finals in a row at Blacktown. So I tried to wherever I played, I tried to keep that going. So that was, and I think most players have some kind of superstition or routine that they like to go through,
Mm.
whether they call it superstition or routine, but most like to go through the same routine, and yeah, I certainly had that, and made sure I packed all the things that, especially if you had a good game the week before, or you wanted to make sure you had all that exact same gear, whether that was the boots or
Yeah.
shin pads or whatever it was, or your sock garters or yeah, whatever you had, you wanted, or your undies, you wanted to make sure you
The
had the
same
same.
breakfast
So
that morning.
yeah, the same breakfast. I never like to put too much into exactly what I had, but I just didn't want to have um, anything too big. I wasn't into
Yeah.
having big pasta meals or anything like that. I just wanted to keep it pretty. I wanted to play on a reasonably empty stomach, but I just have a
Mm.
banana before, so I was feeling light and ready to go, but
Yeah.
not certainly not full. But I always have that was probably one of my superstitions. Make sure I have a banana just before I go out, and that usually got me through the game, along with all the Powerade and all the things. They didn't have all the gels and everything they throw all the guys back then. It seems like there's a few different gels and things that they have, but certainly all the Powerade and stuff like that was enough, and the bananas and fruit and things like that.
Was there the as it is now, the specific music in the dressing rooms prior to the game and all that sort of stuff in warm up or
Yeah, they had the music. I'm not much of a music man, but there was always, I think Wilco. I think Alex Wilkinson he was in charge from memory. Would have been him or Hutch. Or no, would have been, I think it was probably Wilkinson, and then Hutch would have been bagging him for the type of music it was. It would have been that probably would have been it. They had a love-hate relationship, those two. They were like brothers. But yeah,
Mm.
Wilco, I'm pretty sure looked after the music. He was pretty much he was our trendiest guy. He was young and trendy, not like some of us old guys. So I'm not sure what the music was, but he was, he had the role, and I think he had it for quite a while.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've said that the lady down in Bankstown gave you the red undies to try because you weren't going well, but have you had any strange requests from fans?
Oh yeah, I've signed a few interesting things over the years. That's probably, obviously with the Mariners, we did plenty of promotional work with around the clubs and the schools and things like, especially at the clubs. They were great nights, the club nights. So we used to go out and train and help the kids train, and then we'd have a long signing session after it. And so there was some interesting things I have to sign before, body parts and bits that you'd go, I don't think you're going to be able to read that, but so that's probably sort of strange requests on where to sign people. That's probably the strangest the request got.
You even had a couple of school visits and had lunches and recess items named after you. And although my
Yeah.
son will never forgive me for just making it, what was it, brownies bread cases, because I was trying to use everybody's um
Like I
Yeah,
said to you, you
yeah,
could
yeah.
have
in
at
the
least
team.
given him brownies.
Yeah, I could have given him brownies, but we didn't have brownies in the
I
canteen at
do,
the time.
and I do eat more brownies than I do brown bread, so that would have been good.
Yes, true. I think everybody would if they had the chance. Okay, so what what advice would you give young players coming up into the professional realm?
Um, yeah, well, depending on how young, getting yourself around, passionate individuals, whether that be the kids themselves, around coaches, and that's a real balancing act. It can be a hard one for parents to know exactly, what age do I see a talent? Do I throw them straight into, all these SAP programs that are happening now, or like when is the right time? But as long as they're getting, I think the kids are getting challenged and they're enjoying it and they want to keep coming back each week because everyone's going to have their level. And, I've coached, well, this is my, 17th year in a row that I've coached my own kids. And we've had others along the way that have, gone off and play, for the Central Coast Mariners Academy, whether they've been boys or girls. And I've coached both. And I like to keep it. I think it can be overcomplicated sometimes, or coaches seem to overcomplicate it a little bit at the young age when I think they just need to be playing fun games where they're passing, they're dribbling,
Mm,
they're attacking, they're scoring, they're defending, they're doing all these things, but they don't know that they're doing that. So I think sometimes they can just, as long as they're playing and they're having fun, and they're doing one-on-ones and they're doing two-on-twos, but without actually describing it as that. I think that's important to be around people who know what they're doing, but without giving them too much technical advice at too much at a young age. So it's not easy to find because I do see lots of coaches out there who are probably a little bit too passionate and are
mm,
screaming at kids and so forth, which I'm totally against. It usually drives more kids away than it actually brings them together. So it's getting that balance right between finding the right people to be around. I don't think it's that easy because, as parents and grandparents, we're all under pressure in some way. Trying to help out our kids and finding that right environment is not easy. So I think just trying to find the right people that's going to make sure they have fun and do lots of activities and keep changing the activities so they're not standing around being bored as well. Uh, and yeah, so it's a tricky one. It's not an easy one, but that's why I probably keep coaching my kids because I know I can control the environment. I know I
yeah,
can make sure they
yeah.
can have fun and still be competitive on the weekend because realistically they still want to try and win. And if that's you don't want to take that away from them either. And a lot of the kids, whether they're playing local, they're playing for the Mariners or wherever, they want to look at ladders and all that kind of thing. But I don't have to be driving that. They'll just naturally drive that. They'll there's all apps for that these days. The kids are usually better
Mm,
at apps than we are. So I don't have to be driving, oh yeah, we're sitting this on the ladder. Oh, come on, we've got to win this game, because they're sitting here and they're sitting there. I don't need to do that as a coach. The kids will naturally have competition, but they don't have to be change too much just for those reasons. So and that's probably come up from the coaches that I've been with. So this is where
yeah.
I have a bit of a relaxed approach, but at the same time, I've coached lots of A grade teams locally, and we've done quite well. But at the same time, the parents know that off on the sideline, I don't want them yelling out. If they're going to yell out anything, just be positive. Just
Mm,
everything positive, 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 because I want the girls the moment I'm coaching girls team to keep coming back. And if they don't come
mm.
back, I know they haven't enjoyed it. So it's not you're never going to please everyone, but I try.
Okay, so if you hadn't gone into football, or way back then. What do you think you would have done as a job, and um, who, what teammate would you have taken along for the ride with you?
Oh, good question. Um,
Something away from football. Was there anything else, or?
Yeah, look, I did an exercise science degree because I thought I wanted to go into physio. And that was my dream to be a physio because I'd had that many injuries growing up. I thought I knew a fair bit about,
Rehab?
I've had a knee reconstruction. I've broken my kneecap. I've got it in my other knee, my good knee. There's no ACL left in that one, but I still managed to run around. I've had plenty of other ankle injuries. So I knew a lot about probably the lower half and all those injuries. So I thought that's what physio is. But then going through, as I finished my degree and then trying to go into physio at one stage there, they said, oh, you'd be around hospitals and blood and things like this. And I went, okay, I'm out. I'm no good at all that stuff. So I moved into a teaching side of things. So that year when I had my reconstruction with Newcastle United at the time and moving into the Mariners, um, I uh, um, I had basically gone down to teach that year at because I had my degree by then, so I had filled
Mm,
in a year where I wasn't playing. So I taught up at Wadalba High School for quite a number of months up there until the Mariners came in. So the teaching degree really helped. I'm now up at the sports college. I think the time when I retired from playing at the end of the '08 season and Laurie offered me the youth development role at the Mariners. My degree came in handy there because, I was doing a lot of clinics and things like that with the kids. So, in
mm,
terms of, I think I would have liked to always been around sport, and I think I've got a good mix at the moment. Um, but if I wasn't, I could see at the time when I finished playing at the Mariners, they were sort of blooding me to become involved in coaching, and I was coaching or assisting the National Youth League at the time, and then they sent me away to do my C license, which I did. Then they wanted me to go to my B, and I could see at the time where that was sort of my B license. I could sort of see where this was heading, and the role of a coach is obviously you'd be very honoured to be a coach, especially at the A League level, but you are very rarely at home. And I
mm,
had to make a decision at the time, right, am I going into coaching or because if I am going into coaching, you're not going to be home much. You're going to be away a lot. And that wasn't what my wife and I really wanted to do. And because even when I was home, I might have been doing a normal house chore, but I wasn't really thinking about that house chore. I was going, right, rightio, okay, if I move them on the weekend, I'm going to have a chat to
mm,
that player about this because at the stage when Alex Tobin was the official National Youth League coach, but he was obviously more up with the seniors. That was his main role, but he was down as because he had the A license, so he was down as the youth league coach. But it was pretty much me running a lot of it.
mm,
So I could see them blooding me for that. And whilst that was exciting, where was that going to take me? Did I really want that? And no regrets. I certainly didn't want that. I see the commitment and dedication that the A League coaches put in, and the families, they take up a lot of that brunt. And
mm.
personally, that wasn't where I wanted to head. So in terms of where I would have gone, um, I'm probably in my dream job at the moment up at the sports college. I look after enrollments up there, so more of an admin role, but I just get to talk about sport all day long, really. But where I the guy, any ones I would have taken with me, we've sort of taken them up at the sports college at the moment. We've got Brad Porter up there, who's
Well,
uh,
that's what I was going to say. The sports school is kind of a who's who of
yeah, it's a Mariners
playing for the
graveyard.
Mariners. Like we've got, okay, who have we got up there? We've got Brad, yourself, Andre,
Yeah,
Quazzy,
yeah,
Ollie, and
yeah,
Dan Barrett.
yeah. That's
So
right.
not only players but coaches. So
Yeah. Yeah, and we've had
it's
McBreen up there.
just,
McBreen was up there for a while. Zvansvik was up there for a while.
yeah,
So,
Patrick.
yeah. And look, when you look at it, like where else um, is there in Australia where there's a full-time job in sport, especially in football, Monday to Friday, and you get 12 weeks off a year, and you get fed
Yeah.
lunch every day. Like that's and you're getting paid a full-time wage. It's not, this doesn't happen really. So the guys, whilst they work extremely hard, that they realise that they're blessed to have that role up there. So, and we're grateful for it too. So whether you call it, they've grabbed that opportunity or a mariner's graveyard or whatever we want to say, it really works in great because those kids up there, they've got the best. They're those coaches up there. They know what it takes to get there, and just even seeing the ones that are coming through now, the Arthur and the Hayne and the Dylan and all these guys,
Mm,
and admittedly they've only been with us for a couple of years, but just for the advice that they would be getting from Brad's and Andre and Quaz and so forth,
yeah.
like these are guys that played at the highest level, and whilst they're there now, they can at least tell them where to get the next level because there's always another level. And these young guys that are with the Mariners now, hopefully they do achieve that. Hopefully they stick around with us for a little bit longer. But you just never know these days. You never know.
Oh, absolutely. It's actually interesting because one of my things, we do some volunteer work and we bring some kids from Glenvale School up for excursions up there, and occasionally we see some of the boys down there at the cafe getting their coffee. So whilst you might get fed, the coffee mustn't be too good up there. But
Yeah, no, we're only allowed to have because it's so busy. There's 150 odd staff up there now.
mm.
We're only allowed to have the coffees before 9 o'clock in the morning at our cafe. So we get free coffees, but the because there's nearly 1,000 kids up there now. They pretty much run the race after that. So it gets a busy little cafe, that one up there, the school cafe,
Oh God, yeah, it would be. That's for sure.
feeding 1,000 kids and 150
So
staff.
how many sports now is available up at the sports school?
Six. Yeah, so you got the football. Rugby league has come on massive. That's probably been the biggest growth. Football has always been big, and we get lots and lots of inquiries for football. That
Mm,
that is the biggest. Rugby league it would be next. We also have basketball and dance, which are new sports for us over the last couple of years, and they're going really well. But we have tennis and netball as well. And so they're our six sports. We would love to add more sports, and there's a couple of sports knocking on the door. But when you've got no more rooms, no more classrooms, no more spots in the classrooms, it's hard to add any more sports. If you want to add AFL, or if you want to add
mm,
swimming, or you want to add another sport, well, you can't really have a team of one or two people. That's all you can fit in year 7 or 8 or year 9. So that's our
mm,
issue at the moment.
mm.
There's just no spots in the classroom. So we've got wait lists, and yeah, it's a great time. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's now a K to 12, isn't it?
yeah, K to 12. Yeah, small K to 6. So two classes
Mm.
of each, from kindy to year 6, and then from 7 to 12, they're five classes of each. So there's 120 in each year from year 7 onwards. So we're just under 1,000 kids at the moment, which is basically capacity.
And even though haven't got rugby union on the curriculum, you have one of the girls has been
Yeah,
picked up
Ruby
by the
Anderson.
Australian side.
Yeah, Ruby Anderson. She's playing for the
Oh, it's
Wallaroos.
crazy.
Yeah, so
It's
she we,
really
we we
crazy.
used to have rugby union, and but we don't have it any longer. But she still, yeah, there just is the amount of inquiries we get for rugby league compared to rugby union. It's like, unfortunately, 20 to 1, and we just couldn't
Mm.
keep rugby union viable. So
So was your induction into the Central Coast Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame, a surprise, or you knew about the
I
nomination,
got
or
I got told I got
and who
told
nominated
only a
you?
couple of days before.
All right.
I actually don't know.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I think it was probably Central Coast. Yes, probably Central Coast football. Probably
Themselves,
their
yeah.
board maybe at the time. Probably yeah, probably threw around a few names. I think there was about five of us at the time from memory. I think there was myself, Andrew Clark,
Yeah, it was
and I
you,
think there was three
Clarky.
others.
Where am I? I did have it on my notes
Hmm.
somewhere. You, Clarky, Renee, and I forgive me, I cannot pronounce her surname. Um, Isarif, who was a Matilda, Andrew
Yes,
French,
that's right.
and
Yep.
Dale Eggleton.
Yeah. Well,
The
there you
five of
go.
you got
Amazing.
inducted on the one night.
Yeah, yeah. So no, I think they just rang me a couple of nights before because we were going there for the event. But yeah, and then I went, oh, well, I hope I don't have to say anything. Anyway, so um, I thought, and they said there was a few others, and in the end, they let us all have a couple of minutes of a chatting and thanking our better halves and things like that. But yeah, it was a great night, and then there was a book that came out which was great. I love still even referring to that book. I've still got that book down on my
Yeah.
yeah.
I
It's
want to
been
know if it's still
great.
available, actually. I want to get a
Yeah,
copy. That'd be interesting.
it's really good. I've got it on a little bookshelf downstairs in the garage, which I go to. And we've got our important books down there, and I still go to it just when I bump into someone or see something from someone on social media and go, oh, I used to play with them or they used to be. And I
Mm,
go to that book and just see where they were at that time and what year it was. Helps my memory. But yeah, it's a great book. Would have taken. I think it was Kevin Best who put that a lot. I
yeah.
think he put a big effort into that book from memory.
Yeah,
Probably others
I
with
think that's
Michael
what it said in the
Conshaw.
article.
Yeah, Leone Best as well. I think there was a few that put a big effort into that book, and it was a that's it. It was, and it actually is really interesting. Like yeah, I still refer to it, and yeah, the amount of work that those people would have put into that book would have
Mm.
just so many hours.
Oh, gosh,
And
yeah.
I realised they probably would have known a lot of it, off the top of their head because they were diehards, and but to keep
Absolutely.
for someone like myself to have that now for the rest of my life and to be able to show my kids who probably don't care about it right now, but they
Mm.
might when they're older. Um, yeah, yeah, it's a great book.
Hey, if you could have dinner with any three footballers, past or present, who would they be and why?
Whew. Um, I'm going to go big because I probably won't ever meet them. I go Messi, Ronaldo to start with, just to see them in the same room together.
Hmm.
Phew. Pick another big one for me.
Oh,
Who can we? Okay,
Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
yeah,
I can't pronounce it
that,
properly.
that sounds. I just like the big because I know I'll never meet them anyway. So I'd like to just get them, just to have even an
What
hour
about a
with them.
Maradona?
Oh, well. I'm not sure if I should say this because he's such a legend, but he probably would have eaten too much. But anyway, um,
Yeah, now he would have. Yeah, oh, we would have before he, yeah,
but
went
um,
on. But
but
yeah.
he, yeah, like that. I just love to get the big guns in the room and just
Mm.
pick their brain and yeah, just maybe have a couple of selfies with them and stuff like that. That'd be great because I won't ever meet anyone like that. But
So if you had to go a greatest of all time, would it
oh,
be out of Ronaldo and Messi
um, oh.
or deviate and
I've
find
got yeah, I've
someone
got I've
else?
I've got love for both of them in different ways.
Yeah,
They just both unbelievable, aren't they? And Ronaldo's still going.
still
Um,
going, yeah.
I'd probably have to lean towards Messi because he's a left footer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got to stay with the left footers union.
And EPL team, do you have one?
I don't, but I still because of Jack Foxton many years ago, I still lean towards Man United
Hmm.
in the good and the bad. But I wouldn't say I'm diehard, but
Yeah.
I because of him and just remembering his accent and how passionate he was and what the start to football he gave me,
Mm.
yeah, I can't go past that. Even though my dad came over here on the boat, when he was 3, he was a Liverpudlian, so I still got a soft spot for them as well. So
Oh, 10 pound pop?
but so
Were
yeah,
they 10
he was
pound
them.
poms? Yeah.
That was him. So he came over. Yeah, he was one of them. So
Yeah.
yeah, his mum brought him over on the boat when he was 3 years old. And I think he's probably I don't think he's even natural. He's probably still not even naturalized, no and dad, but
Yeah.
or he might have jagged both passports, I'd say by now. But yeah, they're my two soft ones. Depends on who's higher up the table at the time. Obviously, you know, Liverpool at the moment, but yeah, I do have a soft
Yeah.
spot for Man United.
All right. There was one other question that I did miss. Have you always been a midfielder?
Phew, um, anyone,
Which in
any,
turn makes you the assist maestro that you were.
yeah, yeah. I think being a left footer, um, the good and the bad of being a left footer is you always want a left footer in your team, like because there's advantages to, and there's not many of us. So I think sometimes you get a spot over others. So that probably helped me growing up, having a left foot. But at the same time, I would have liked growing up also to be probably a centre midfielder, but you get put out wide a lot because you
Mm,
have got that crossing ability and so forth. But I was mainly a left attacking player. That was my role growing up. As wing backs, these days get forward a lot. Laurie put me in that second year when Hef left, and I actually quite enjoyed that. I had to learn a little bit more about defending. Don't like defending too much, as most attackers do, but I had to attack a little bit. I had to defend a little bit more, especially I think I had a couple of good duels with Dave Carney from Sydney FC, who they played on the right back then, so he could cut in on the left.
mm,
So Alex Tobin had a few good sessions with me about how to keep him on his right foot and so forth. So we worked on that at training. But yeah. So I've played left back a little bit because I could get forward, and that's what the coaches did want. But mostly I was a left midfield. I did play right wing for 1 year at Blacktown and got Player of the Year. So because once again I was doing probably the Dave Carney. I was cutting in and scoring goals that way, or I could go down the line and because can use my right. It wasn't just for getting on a bus. I could actually use it, so I could cross it in as well. Um, yeah, but mostly left attacking.
okay, and lastly, do we have any new prospective players coming through this football school?
Oh, well, I think Hayne and Arthur are still officially enrolled, so not that they're there that much these days. So we all know about them.
Yep.
There are some good ones, but I'm not out in the field with them every single day.
Mm,
But Brad Porter, who I still run with, Brad's a very keen runner these days, so he gets me out of my slumber, and we go trail running, and he's probably trail running right now, knowing Brad, he's pretty dedicated in the area, but he knows a lot of those guys, and
mm,
they're keep trying to keep their head on the ground, not get
yeah,
too ahead of themselves
yeah,
as well, because there's so many out there doing it.
yeah.
It's great that we've got Hayne and Arthur and Dylan. Obviously, he was at our school last year, but leading the way. But we don't want to get them, say, the really good ones who are playing in the Mariners Academy. We don't want to get them too ahead of themselves. You haven't
Mm,
made it. Some of them get there and think the job's done, but getting there, and there's a squad of, I'm not sure what the squads are these days. They'll probably be,
mm,
back when I was playing, they were 23. There's 23 players trying to play every week, and only 11
yeah,
can play. So
yeah.
sometimes you get in the squad, but then you don't play. And I know they've got the Mariners Academy where they can fall back in and play, but you really want to play on the big stage, and
Mm,
the hard work only just starts then. So I think they're trying to do that with them. They're trying to say, well, yeah, you're going really well, but there's a big wide world out there if that's where you want to be, and you've got to keep, going. So in terms of which names, I wouldn't know their exact names, but because I'm not out in the field, I'm
mm.
more of in the office these days. I'm more on Zoom and things like that.
Uh, all right. Okay, Colin, any other questions? I couldn't see any.
No, that's it.
All right.
All good.
Thanks,
That's
Damien,
okay.
for joining
Thank
us. It's been
thank you for
an
having me.
absolute blast.
Yeah,
And
thank
who
you for
knows, I
having me.
might come up and check out the school one day when I'm up there on an excursion.
Yeah, yeah. Come at lunchtime. It's a good feed.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'll be there.
Yeah, all right.
No
Sounds good.
worries. Thanks,
Okay.
Damien.
All right. See ya. See you, Joe.
Catch ya.
Damien.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.